be on the call in assisting me with the recruiting process, getting me set up with a contact and Indeed to allow me to do deeper dives into some of the potential candidates that we're interviewing. So I've got a tremendous teammate and, more importantly, for my case, a solution deliverer. Thank you, Susan.
Awesome. Nice job. Any others in Waterbury?
I have two. They're kind of for the same reason, but both for Rachel and Jason. They're both tremendous teammates, and anytime I ask for help, they're there to help. And this week, they both helped me a lot. So thank you guys both.
Any others?
I do. I have three, and I kind of really enjoyed, creating these three because for me, they were the little things that made such a big impact. So I'll start. This one is for Danielle in Hartford. I recently went to Hartford. She is the front desk at Hartford. As I walked through the door, she stood up. She had a big smile. She put out her hand and said, "Hi, Sherry, I'm Danielle." And she took me back for a second because of her energy and her her positive, warm welcome. And I said, oh my God, if I felt that way, imagine what our customers feel. So that was awesome. The second one is for, can you hear me? You guys went out. Yeah. The second one is for Amy in Norwalk. Last Friday, in Norwalk, they were a little bit shorthand. Amy went to her team. She basically said, okay, guys, we have someone here covering the front desk. Let's make sure we cover her break. Let's be on a schedule so the showroom floor is never unattended. So I thought that was a great way to be respectful of our teammates and make sure our customers get the service that they deserve. So great job, Amy. And then the third one is for Jenny in New Haven. She came to Norwalk when Norwalk was without a showroom receptionist for 3 days. So she drove 45 minutes to get there, and she really helped out the Norwalk team. So we really appreciate it. So thank you.
Any others? Hartford?
Oh, Mark.
I got one.
Hold on.
Sorry. Sorry, there's a lot of people there. I can't see.
Yeah.
I'm getting old.
So I have a citation for Ted. Ted has been doing a great job here in Waterbury, filling in for Jim Gummett since his departure. And Bridgeport last week was short a counter person, and Ted happily stepped up and filled in and did a great job. So he's a great team player. So it's for Ted.
One more. All right, one more for Waterbury. I'm sorry. Two more. This one is for Maria in the showroom. Last week, I overbooked myself on the same day, same time for an appointment. So I asked her to help out, and she took the appointment and she made a sale. So thank you very much for helping me out.
All right, one last one. Mine is for Chris Kingsley. We have been working on an issue with one of our vendors that goes between our vendor and a shipping company. We've been told it's pretty much out of our hands and only the vendor can resolve it. And it is holding up a credit for one of our big customers. Chris Kingsley has stepped up and was helping me kind of tag team this vendor and really push forward to make sure that they're on top of it and not letting it slide. And we just got the email yesterday that it is finally resolved and we should be seeing the credit by the end of next week. So this is for him helping me out to get this vendor all straightened out and get our credit pushed through.
Awesome. Great job, Waterbury. You guys rocked it.
And then I just wanted to say I am on vacation next week, and I've been stressed about getting all my ducks in a row ahead of leaving. And I had a long list of teammates who noticed that my stress level was a little bit on overdrive and stepped up to help me out in different ways. I can think of Heather and Liz and Chris Kinsley and Jason and Josh. And then in addition, I've never been more grateful to be part of the Bender team because I had a conversation with 4 of my managers this week, and the support that I felt was amazing. I went home and told my husband that it was just great to be part of a team where I felt really supported. So that's a thank you to Matt and to Stephanie, to Taz and to Sherry.
Thank you for that. A great chair, great chair. Thank you, Rachel. Hartford, any?
I have one. I'd like to acknowledge Alex Sokolowski, a good deed doer, purpose promoter, and tremendous teammate. He stepped up to help a fellow teammate to process a customer service to get a customer satisfied and happy and out the door. So
Hartford?
I've got one. I've got one for Paul Cornett down in Norwalk. He came up here this week, and it was obvious to me, he has great enthusiasm for Bender and the Bender behaviors, and he's a great teammate, and his enthusiasm was infectious, and he's just a tremendous teammate and a Bender believer, and I want to acknowledge him.
Thank you, Dave.
I also have a couple of purpose citations. I have one for Dave Post. He's been doing a great job. He took over some of the responsibilities of, like the can't find it emails and just helping take care of everything in the showroom. And it's been really great in making things run smoother and making sure that our showroom looks really good. So thank you, Dave.
Awesome.
And then I also have one for Sue Silva. I just wanted to thank her for always just being warm and welcoming and having kind words. I stepped outside my comfort zone when we were taking care of the commercial, and she was so supportive, and it was something so new for me, and she just really helped support my confidence and spread that you can do it attitude. So thank you, Sue.
You're welcome, and you did a great job, and everybody's going to see it soon.
Any others in Hartford? All right, Bridgeport.
I have 1.5. First, for Mike Furstein, that he organized the section in our basement of material that got out of control, that he really took the time to do it right. And it's made it much easier for our team to pull that material, and it's made an impact on the customers that get in and out quicker. Thank you, Mike. And the half a purpose citation is for Shanice, because it's kind of a preemptive one, that she volunteered today to help with our presentation during this, that she doesn't actually get it until she does it. So I appreciate her comfort zone to do that.
Nice job, Peter. Nice job. All right, Norwalk.
Yeah, I have one for Tyler in Stamford. We were having an issue with trying to get our paperwork here since John Barry left, and the trucks weren't bringing the correct envelopes, and we weren't getting the cash sales updated. And he stepped up to the plate, started getting everything organized, started putting everything into the folders. So I have him down as a good deed doer, great vendor behavior, tremendous teammate, and a solution deliverer. So kudos to Tyler.
New Haven. We're good? So I counted 15. Great job. That was awesome. A lot of great stories there. Any new intros that we need to make?
Yeah, we got one. Dolphus Addison, great new addition to the New Haven warehouse. So he's joining us today.
Excellent. So real quickly, I wanted to tell a story before we get into today's exercise and subject.
Mark, you want real quick to do one more intro?
We got more intros? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got Mike Valenzano, who's down here training with the Bridgeport team, that he's going to be joining the Stanford team shortly as an inside sales. That he's a huge new addition to us and doing great.
Welcome, Mike. Any others? Sorry about that. So before we get into today's subject, I want to tell a quick story. Peter, Conti, myself, and Lou sat in a webinar the other day about telling stories and the impact they have. And we always think our industry is different, right? We always talk about, oh, we're different. And so this webinar was by a doctor and a professor at Stanford University. And it was interactive to the point where you put your chats up there and you put your questions, and there was exercises that you had to put words down and everything. And the first time she did it, she looks down and she says, holy shit, there's a lot of people on here. And so it's just not our industry that swears when appropriate and uses the right words to express how they feel. So I thought that was interesting, that we would have never thought 3 years ago that happened when we were working with Lisa. We were like, well, we swear. And she was like, yeah, a lot of people swear when appropriately. So that was an aha moment for me. Last week we worked on We Communicate Purposefully, a document speaks for itself. This week, because of the matter that we're talking about, I decided to work on focusing on a core value, treat others with respect. So that's one of our core values, treat others with respect. And I think we all think we do that well. And then I think that we don't realize when we don't do it well. So let me give you an example that happened to me this week as I was focusing on this core value, realizing I don't do it as well as I think I do it. I was having a one-on-one conversation with somebody, and I looked at myself. And I just realized that that's not treating the other person with respect. I'm having a one-on-one, and I didn't say in the beginning, I have an important phone call that's coming, and I just probably got bored and looked at myself, and that's not appropriate. And if I didn't have my cell with me, that wouldn't have happened. So, you know, whether it's a computer we look at, whether it's our cell phone, or just even doing anything else, it's really disrespectful or not treating somebody with respect. And that brings us right into our conversation of being indestructible. Shelley, can you put our first slide up? So indestructible, once again, is a made-up word by Neer, and he says it's striving to do what you say you're going to do. So we talk about blocking off time, getting traction, and becoming indistractable. Last week, we reviewed some superpowers. How would you feel if you were indistractable? Imagine how we said our lives would change if we're indistractable. Some of the ones that really hit home for me are less stress, on track, trusting others, empowered, accomplished, more confident, and there were a lot of other great ones. So we asked everybody to write down 2 things. One thing that you did over the past week to move yourself towards being indistractable, and one situation that distracted you this week from being indistractable or stopping you from being indistractable. So I want to share a couple stories today, people that volunteered to talk about what they did. And Shanice, why don't you kick us off with what you came up with?
Okay, so what I did to bring myself closer to the goal of tracking and limiting how much time I spend on tasks, I made a list of crucial results. So this list of crucial results is a list of 3 objectives that absolutely need to be accomplished each day in order to move my goals forward. The benefit I received from this action is it helped me to maintain focus on the most important tasks each day, no matter what was thrown at me during the course of the workday. And one thing that brought me away from what I wanted to accomplish is getting sidetracked from the task at hand when trying to resolve unrelated situations such as stock checks or shipping errors. But the list of crucial results always helped me to refocus my attention.
Thank you for that. Christina, do you want to share what you came up with?
Yeah, so I've been, really working on the time blocking and, less distractions. And, in the showroom, it's kind of difficult because there are, a lot of interruptions and things. You're in the middle of something and a customer comes in. But, I'm just trying to just slow down and take a breath and make sure that the time I do spend on things is very focused, and having clear communication, I think, is an important part of that, especially right now there's some new displays going in the showroom, and our receptionist is kind of handling the organization of that and working with the teammates who are putting the displays up. And sometimes I feel if I was more clear with her on the instruction, then it would make it easier for her, number one, and it would again, make less interruption during the day. So I'm just trying to focus, I think, more on clear communication to make for less distractions.
Yes. When you call Fab, you would, right?
Yes. We muted him. We're good. All right. So thank you for that, Christina. Scott Bristol, do you want to share what you came up with?
So, what I'd like to accomplish, I thought about this last week, it'd be more prepared, less stress when attending meetings and managing growing tasks and projects. I've been at Benders for 5 months now, and the roles continually evolving and taking on more responsibility. So what I've begun doing is, as of last week, is started utilizing my Outlook calendar to schedule time and block off slots that allow me to accomplish more of these important things. I feel that if nothing else, I would at least remind me to do some of these tasks, and I have pop-ups that continually pop up in my face, so that's a good thing. The benefit is I feel I have more control over my weekly tasks. I have planned time slots to address these issues, and it helps relieve stress at the end of the week. So,
Thank you for that. So we're going to go into an exercise in a minute. I want to go over, there's two exercises. We'll break into smaller groups, preferably 2 to 3 people, but you can do it in larger if you prefer. You change the slide on that. So the first exercise is going to be refer back to the distraction that you had over the past week, and what brought you away from accomplishing that. And then write down 3 root causes of discomfort that you may be trying to escape by not doing what you set out to do. So I'm going to give you an example how that looks like. So my distraction was during a one-on-one, I was worried about an issue that was on my mind. The root cause is the fear I could not handle the issue, or I hadn't handled it enough to go into this one-on-one. The root cause number 2 is, could the issue have been avoided? So I'm thinking about that in my mind. Could I have avoided that issue prior to going into this meeting? And the root cause 3 is, the one-on-one was not organized to keep me engaged. So I didn't do a good job in this one-on-one that I had with one of the branch managers to organize it enough up front to keep me engaged. So it was a little bit of boredom there, not because of them, because of me. And my mind started to wander. So if I had prepared and ready, that would have looked a lot better. And I have the tools to do that. We all have the tools to do that with purpose, goals, expectations, A and B. We all have a lot of tools to do that. So it's very simple to just take a couple minutes before and make that one-on-one more productive. And I'm sure the person on the other side noticed that I wasn't engaged. And so what does that look like, and what's the ripple effect? So exercise 1 is, again, and we'll keep this up there, refer back to the distraction that you had over the past week and what you wanted to accomplish. Write down 3 root causes why you tried to escape from that. And exercise 2 is from the example that you come up with. Discuss the benefits you and others would have received if you were not distracted. Write down the benefits you and your team would receive if we had indistractable meetings. So in other words, let's just use a live scenario. We had somebody who forgot to mute themselves and everybody lost focus. And that's okay, right? We're here to fail, make mistakes, and move better. But imagine if everybody was prepared and ready to mute themselves when they had to, not bring in their cell phones if they're ringing. How much better would our meetings be? So 3 different things we're doing here. Exercise 1 is write down the 3 root causes from the problem, why you tried to escape. The second one is the benefits you would receive from that. And then the last one is, what would we, and this is what we're going to come back and talk about as a team, what would it look like if all our meetings were indistractable? What would it look like for everybody in those meetings? Because there's a lot of resources, time, energy, and money involved in meetings, and we need to make those as indistractable. So any questions? Was I clear? Is there anybody need clarity on what we're doing with these exercises in small groups? And then when we reconnect, we'll write down some benefits the team would see if we had indistractable meetings. All right, so we're going to take about we'll take about 7 minutes, and let's take about 6 minutes, and then we'll reconnect at 9:25. All right, you gonna mute us? All right. I know that was really fast. Let's wrap up. I know that was really fast, and I suggest you guys jump into small groups and continue this at some point. This is pretty powerful. I wanted to get to what the benefits would be, and I'll write down what would the benefits be if every meeting at Bender's became indistractable. So we've all been at those meetings where somebody who's running the meeting or somebody who's not running the meeting takes their cell phone out to look at something. I know I've had that challenge, so I try not to even bring it with me unless there's an emergency, so I don't have the temptation to look at it. If I do, I try to put it behind me. That's just one thing. Somebody coming in late to a meeting, somebody knocking at the door to ask a question that maybe doesn't need to be handled, an emergency. Disturbances in terms of taking the meeting off subject. Let's throw some words around there. What would it look like? What would it do for us if we were indistractable? Just feel free to just shout out some words.
I'd say the meetings would be shorter.
Shorter meetings. Focused.
Efficient.
Productive. Efficient.
Efficient, yeah.
Able to complete.
Ability to complete. I like that.
There would be less meetings
We
because
didn't get to number 2 yet. Exercise.
So those are good things, right? And those are really valid. How would it make us feel? Now let's turn to how it would make us feel. We leave that meeting. How do you feel as a person?
Recharged.
Confident, in charge?
Recharged.
Recharged.
Accomplished.
Empowered. What was the other one?
Accomplished.
Accomplished.
Enthusiastic.
Organized.
Excited.
Excited.
Better
Proud.
understanding.
What is that?
Better understanding.
Understanding. Clarity. So we did that in like a minute and a half. So I want to just, before we close out, talk about the importance of everybody here working on becoming indistractable. Are we ever going to do it 100%? That's impossible. But if we all work on it, it's like another behavior, right? It's a behavior. And this word, to me, just like, and Sherry listened to the podcast and said to me, that was amazing. And I've gotten the book. I've started reading it a little bit. Logan and I had a conversation based off of his exercise, and he had set aside he had bought the book. He was going to start reading it, but Thursday night football came. And so what I said to him is, you should have blocked off Thursday night football if that's what you really wanted to do. And maybe read the book at halftime or whatever. And so what we came up with is his fear was reading a book. He hadn't done it in a long time. His fear was the ability to focus on the book. And he wanted to do the other one more than this. So he prioritized what he wanted to do incorrectly. He picked a time to read a book when he knew he wasn't going to be able to. So he didn't set himself up to succeed. And we talked about that, and he was like, yeah, that makes sense. This is not a moral compass outside of work. It's not a moral compass. Inside of work, there is a moral compass, right? It's not to say what you enjoy doing. It's not to say you can't spend 24 hours on social media. But it's saying, do what you want to do. Strive to do what you want to do, and then accomplish it. And if you do that in and out of work, you will be more confident, be recharged, empowered, accomplished, enthusiastic, organized, excited, proud, understanding, clarity. All those things will happen. So this is another journey that we're on together. I would suggest helping people, helping them when you see them going to their cell phone in one-on-ones, in meetings, reminding them after the meeting, hey, that's not treating others with respect. It's not helping yourself. I hope this meeting helped a little bit. I want to kick it off to Max to close it. And we're going to close out for now until I read more of the book, Indistractable and Time Management, and we'll get on to something else next week.
Awesome. Mark, thank you. Great exercise. And team, that was awesome with the 15 purpose citations this week. It made me realize that, frankly, I need to step my game up and lead by example more. Because as I heard you guys giving out the citations to each other, I thought of 2 or 3 things that is purpose citation worthy, and I need to recognize good behavior as well. So thank you for that. You guys gave me a kick in the butt. Mark, I really like what you just kind of closed with, that whatever it is, any one of us are trying to accomplish, right, personal or work, whether it is watching Thursday night football, right? If that's something you want to do and that brings you joy, right, then you should allocate the time for that, right? Whatever it is, it just feels good to get done what we want to get done. And that's personal, work, whatever, right? When you accomplish something you wanted to accomplish, that feels good. So I really enjoyed this exercise of just kind of thinking more about it, what brings us all fulfillment, and how we achieve that. So thank you very much, team. Hope you have a wonderful Friday and a great weekend.
Enjoy your weekend. High fives, everyone. Good job.
Yeah.
So Mike finally came on board. Valenzano. Yay. I'll listen to the voicemail.
All right.